Hey, good evening, everyone. We're going to do this a little different than usual. We're not going to go through and do all of the highs and whatnot. This has been a pretty long, stressful day.
Days.
Um, Days, yeah. Today was just the topper of it. The first and foremost, the beginning, before we even get into anything, I want to say that Shay is good. Well, she's as good as she can be. Of course, she's not. You know, she's going through it right now. Um, but she is safe, and that is what is important. And she is someplace that Russ will not be able to get to her because she is being watched. You know, we're not going to disclose where, but she is safe, and there is no possible way of Russ getting to her. So that right off the bat, I want to get that out of the air. Next is we got a lot of people in chat tonight. Um, Nothing is going to be tolerated when it comes to rude remarks, victim shaming, anything. Mods, please use your discretion. Delete. I know that a lot of us watching are not fans of Russ, and I know what he has done is unforgivable, but I don't want to see any comments in this chat that are directed towards a violent nature to him. Let's stop with some. Let's stop the violence for today. Um, it's been so much. Where do we begin, guys? Where
Well, I think
oh,
the other disclaimer.
oh, I think I'm going to say this disclaimer. I think this is it. If I'm wrong, Boston, you just do that next one, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Um, we have talked to Shay for a long time, and we're going to get into that. But today, specifically about what we are about to talk about, Shay has given us permission to talk about it. She wants all of you to be updated on what's going on because this is going to get out there. I mean, it's already in news articles and that, and she wants people to understand that she is safe and this is her story of what she went through. If we don't answer something, it's because there is some stuff that she does want to, that's her. That's her personal
Right.
story. That's not for us to share, and
Yeah, that's
we
her
are
story
going
to tell.
yeah, and we are going to respect that, but we are going to try to answer as many questions as possible. If you have them, please try to save those questions for towards the end so that we can kind of get through and let everybody know. Boston, was that the disclaimer?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Um, I guess we need to start at the beginning, right?
Mm.
The public is unaware of a lot of the stuff. They see the lives on Facebook, and they see that, and they see us interact with Shay, and I think a lot of people think that's kind of the extent of the friendship, right? Well, Brandon, I'm going to let you chime in a second to carry this on, but me and Brandon were in trans world, or me, Brandon, and Boston. I forgot Boston was there. She flipped off
Yeah,
Ross.
Boston was there.
Yeah.
Hey,
So
I flipped off Russ and I looked him in the eyes and said, "Gonna get you, buddy."
Boston gave him the bird.
Gave him the bird.
That's her signature move. Um, so the three of us were at Transworld, which is a haunted house convention. It's one of the biggest ones in the country. Me and Brandon have been frequent visitors of this convention for many years prior to before. Unfortunately, so is Russ. This was Boston's first time there, but since Horror Road Trip has started up and picked up speed, we thought it was only best that the whole team was together and getting to see the different things coming out and whatnot. And while we were there, we ran into Russ. The video is out on the channel where me and Brandon walked the same aisles that Russ did for about 20 minutes and just kind of tried to ask questions. This was the first time that we met Shay. Shay was with Russ, and this was the first time that her and Russ had ever met in person. They had talked prior, but this was like their first actual meetup too. Now we didn't know any of this. We didn't know who Shay really was. I think in my head, she was friends with somebody else that was there with Russ. I didn't realize that they were an item at this point. Brandon, do you want to carry it on from here? Because for a while, me and you were talking with her specifically and
Well,
catching Boston up to it, and then Boston's friendship really blooms from there, and then we'll let Boston finish up the story.
well, this is, kind of like how you started. This has been a team effort from the very beginning. But if I remember correctly, it was on one of your posts in the group where she commented, and then I commented back, and finally I asked her if me and you could reach out to her and kind of have a more kind of fruitful discussion, and that's exactly what we did. And we reached out. We eventually had that interview with her that was like an hour and a half long, and then we just stayed in communication. And this isn't a communication that was necessarily infrequent. It was very frequent. I don't think there was more than a couple of days that went by since Transworld that we haven't been in contact with her. And kind of like what you said, Chris, in Boston, I can't remember when we added you to that group chat, but it wasn't too much longer after that.
I had been talking to her privately while you guys were talking to her in the group chat. I think I started talking to her privately maybe even like a few weeks after you guys started talking to her. And I think so the extent of she's very easy to talk to, at least for me, and the extent of our conversation was before she had actually moved out there. Because I remember that was big for me, was like I'd really like to talk to her if that, and try to say please don't um don't move out there. So I know we started talking privately. Then I think I was only added to the group conversation about like maybe for the past month. I've been in that with you guys.
Yeah, I would say you've been in the group for about a month. However, it was weird, like why we didn't include you in the group before. I don't know why, because she knew that we were telling you, and it was just like playing telephone.
And then she
And
would tell me, like she would tell me, and then she would tell you guys things.
yeah,
And then at one point you just said, "Hey, instead of playing telephone, can I just add Boston in here?" She was
yeah,
like, "Sure, of course."
and so like the conversations were all over the place. Sometimes they were just friendly banter. Sometimes they were more serious. And if you have seen in other Facebook groups, they're maybe not really all about us. Like they don't really care for us. You kind of see a lot of pointing at Shay, that Shay is the one that is trying to pull one over on us. She's trying to get info from us. Now, never once did we feel that she was ever trying to get any info, right? Whether that was the original, what allowed her to talk to us and be like that support, because that's what she utilized it as is, hey, these guys really are here to help me. If I need a vent, if I'm ever in danger, I know I can go to them. But nowhere in our conversation did we ever say anything, because we don't lie. We're telling the truth about the things. There's nothing that is dirt that can be said. We're not just trash talking people with her.
Right.
Well, I think it's also important to say when we were at Transworld, we were very cognizant of the fact that she was there, and we were very nice to her that entire time, right? We didn't, when it came to us talking to Russ, we never put her on camera. We always gave her plenty of space. We said, "Excuse me," you know what I'm saying? Like we were very, we were very, cognizant of her and the fact that she might not want to be on camera.
Well, you can even hear me at one point in it, because she was walking in front of me and I think somebody cut her off or something. She dead stopped and I bumped into her because I was looking the other way. And you can hear me on camera say, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to bump into you. Let you know I'm trying not to get you in the shot. This isn't directed at you. I hope I am not bothering you." And I went back to going at Russ.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, from the very beginning, from the second that you guys had first started talking with her in your group chat, and she agreed to do the phone call with you and all of that, regardless of what she thought, if she was genuinely getting to know you guys, or if it, if Russ was saying, oh, talk to them, get info, regardless, she never had a problem with you. Like, from the beginning, you guys always got along, you were respectful with each other. It's kind of one of those, like, hey, we got a problem with the guy that you're that you're seeing. And even back then, I don't think it was fully clear if they were, like, officially seeing each other either. Like, when initial contact was made, it was kind of like, yeah, we're, it was the beginning. It was also the beginnings of their relationship.
Yep.
So that's the friendship that grew. It turned into nightly conversations, just. But when she was down, or you saw some of those Facebook lives going on, when it got off, she would be messaging us. She would be concerned. We would hear things that, it probably doesn't paint Russ in the best light. We're not going to play those. They don't need to be played.
And there's a lot.
There's a lot. So
there's a lot.
She's been very, I think the best word is forthcoming from the get-go. And sometimes even we'd have those conversations where, like, why is she opening up so much to us, like, but still loves him? Like, is she trying to set us up? Like, there was things, that thought was there at one point that quickly vanished the closer our friendship grew, and the more we realized that I think this is just a friend who needs a safe place to kind of tell the full truth about what's happening to her.
That, and there was nothing that necessarily rose to the level of extreme concern, really, kind of at the beginning there.
At the beginning,
the beginning, right? But shortly after that, what was it, like a month later? Do we want to go through that?
When she first moved in.
Yeah, when she first moved in. Now, we all have seen what happens to the women that live with Russ, and we've all heard the testimonies from the exes. If you haven't, they are out there. They are in the Facebook group. Maybe we'll repost them in the Facebook group for anybody after this live to go and listen to. They are very triggering. They are very hard to listen to. So please, viewer discretion advised. So we knew what she was getting into, and we tried our hardest to say, just don't move there. Why are you moving there? We tried so hard, and she was manipulated. She was already being manipulated. She was being pulled towards him, thinking that she needed to help him. You can't fix a person. A person can only fix themselves. Mm-hmm. You cannot change somebody that doesn't want to be changed. And so the progression we slowly saw happening was
sorry.
Yeah.
I just want to interrupt. So we are not going to talk about where she is. Okay, we've got lots of different information here. So we are not, for her own safety, are not going to talk about where she is. Okay? And we're just going to leave it at that, but she is safe. Sorry, continue.
I'm freaking talking. I got my mic muted. We'll answer more questions here in a few.
I didn't want that one to fly out of control in chat. So
yeah. So she's safe. Where were we at? So she moved in, right? What else was I? Where was I going with this, guys?
Which obviously, as you all can imagine, was difficult for us, because at this point we've kind of started like a friendship with her. And we know you were telling them about the ex-girlfriend's testimonies, etc., right? And that we obviously knew all of that information.
Right. Okay.
And had, tried to warn her, but, she's an adult and the best thing we could do is support her.
And slowly we started to see the progression happen. We saw the lives where they would be sitting and, talking at first, but then there'd be the little digs, the things that you wear, kind of little put downs. And people were seeing this in real time. It wasn't as much. At this point, we were not active in the chats when they were going live. We were just watching them. Now, what was the original phone call the first time the police came? Or not came, but the first contact?
Well,
May.
Yeah, it was May 6th, wasn't it?
Okay, and what made that happen?
We saw she posted on what is it, Snapface? There's some pictures. Yeah, Snapchat. Snapchat with a ton of bruises all over her arms and legs, and she had been kind of saying some kind of cryptic stuff in our chat, and that threw up a lot.
She had told me about it, about the bruising, and then the Snapchat photos came out afterwards. So it's like, then there was proof, like the photos, that this was actually happening.
Yeah, and so we decided to call the police then. That was that. Go ahead.
No, go finish.
Yeah, so we called the police. We asked them to go out there and check. We explained and did the best that we could to kind of explain the entire situation. It's very difficult to get the full context, although the police at the time kind of had a pretty good idea of who Russ McKamey was and what he was about. But we wanted to make sure that she was okay. And at that time, they refused to go out.
So that was our first attempt, and
yes, but they did give us a good bit of information. And I'm going to say this information publicly because I think anyone, at least in the state of Tennessee, should know this. This is important. If you are ever in a situation where you need to contact 911, but it cannot get on a phone, you can text 911. I'm pretty sure you can do that in all states, but we at least know that that's a confirmed.
They said that was in that county. I don't know if it's every county. I mean, I don't know if it's in the entire state either. Could be.
I would imagine, especially for the hearing impaired, that might be the case, but
that's a good point.
Never mind. Okay, there we have confirmation. Thank you. That's what I thought. But it wasn't something that I don't think I had ever thought of. But it's an especially good thing to utilize if you're in any kind of a domestic violence situation.
So after that call, we again start seeing the escalation. It was slow, but we were seeing it, right? We were seeing it in real time. Again, we were not active in the chats at this point. This was all behind the scenes, us having a conversation with her, asking her if she's all right. This is now in June. Shay calls us, or doesn't call us, texts us and tells us, he's trying to get in and things are getting really bad. And she's concerned. And now we had already been shut down by the cops. And we told her, you text 911. You have to text them because they're not taking us serious. I mean, when the cops literally say on the phone when you call, and they say, well, if she texted you, why can't she text us? That's absolutely unacceptable. Absolutely. Like, she was calling for help. She was reaching out for help. She needed help when she reached out to us. So she does this time. She texts 911. And let's see. They did show up. Nothing happened.
She did text.
Yes, she texted.
Yeah.
And they showed up and nothing happened. Now, without going into like very specific details about the reasons of why they showed up, I think we can at least say as much that Russ denied things, and that from what I understand from her description of that, they weren't separated.
Mm-mm.
They weren't separated, which I always like, oh, I have to be careful at what I say, but police should always please separate the potential victim and the potential abuser and do your questioning. But and that at that specific time, I don't believe they were. Could be wrong. So they left.
So again, it continues. This doesn't stop at all. But now we're like, you know what? We need to be there for her. We need to be in that chat because she's doing lives on hers now, on her platform and not Russ's.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to be in there and support her. So if you recently went on any of those, you will see all of me, Boston, Brandon, others that are in this chat, supporters of us, all flying around, telling Shay, you need to go, you need to get out, you need to get out, trying to warn her, trying to help her get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
This really escalates how things are done. And in real time, you can see many lives where Russ becomes a little unhinged. I mean, there's even one where, in Boston, you were very, very upset by one of those lives. And can you maybe get into that a little, or is it too much for you?
No, I can get into it.
Okay.
I think a lot of people were very upset by one of those. And I also want to point out that you have to keep in mind there's a lot of things like we're gonna disclose as much information as we can to you guys, but keep in mind that everything that we are telling, there's always more conversation behind it, and one of those things is sometimes we would hear from her and she'd say something as simple as, he's making me go live, or he's very big into appearances. So what you see on social media, and the happy-go-lucky moments are not always, everything is not always as it appears. So keep that in mind. So yeah, the live that really, really got to me, I don't remember exactly how it came up. I think somebody said something, well, and it was especially triggering because of knowing, more details than are out there publicly. It was especially triggering. And somebody in chat could have said something. He said something like, well, I've never been accused of sexually assaulting somebody. Somehow the subject of SA came up, and I said, well, I mean, there are allegations out there that, there are allegations. I'm not saying if they're true or not, but they are allegations out there and testimonies from exes, and it's a concern. And he immediately went into, if there isn't legal paperwork, or if I didn't get legally in trouble for it, and you guys can't show me arrest records or whatever, then show me the proof. Essentially saying that you can't get that he would never have been able to SA'd somebody because they would have reported it if they had really been SA'd. And that led into a conversation with Shay. Actually, I was so proud of her putting her foot down and saying, no, that's not always the case. I don't know if anyone else was watching that live, but it was extremely triggering. For me, I know Shay was obviously triggered. I think a lot of people in that chat were triggered. He kept saying, oh, aren't you glad I made you report yours from all those years ago? And she was saying, no, I wasn't ready. So I'm not glad. I wasn't ready, and nothing came from it. So I don't feel any better. I don't feel better about it. He basically forced her to report her own from years ago, which I think is kind of weird, but he's got a history of having really strange thoughts around that. And then he started screaming at the chat and basically telling people that you're idiots. If you don't report, that you have to report, because if you don't report, then it's your fault if other people get SA'd. And it kind of went on from there.
Yeah, it was very rough, and I think that was the beginning of Shay finally realizing
Mhm.
this isn't the same person that I thought I was trying to fix. From that, or go on, Brandon, you were about to say something.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, but I don't know if I should say this, so I'm just gonna. It's something that she told us that I'm gonna hold off. I'm gonna
Okay.
ask you privately. But go ahead.
All right. So from that point on, I think her eyes started to open and really see, hey, this is this the person that I'm trying to help? Can I help them?
Mm. Well, I don't think stopped was the. Hold on.
I'm fine either way.
Okay, I'll say it then. So she informed us that he started going, or he was urged to go to therapy by his attorney. This is what she's telling us. And then recently, he we kind of got word that
Mm.
he was refusing to go.
This
Yeah,
is
I don't know
all
if I'd use the word
allegedly.
stopped. Yeah, allegedly, what I remember from our sources and her is that he went like once, maybe, because the lawyer told him to go, and then she was staying with him, trying to get him help, um, and had an appointment, and that was canceled.
And
Yeah,
it's very important to say too, this is what we're being told,
right.
right?
This is
We're
all
not
allegedly.
there. We're not there. We don't talk to his lawyer. We don't
Yeah.
talk to his therapist, but this is what we're being told.
Yeah.
So now the events are getting worse. We're starting to see, we saw one live where there was a visible mark on her neck. I think I called that out. We're starting to really see that things have escalated to the extreme now. There is a lot of private conversations.
And not just see, but like actually being told detailed stories.
Yeah, that's what I was going into. I was saying there was a lot of private conversations that I'm not going to go into detail on. Those were very personal conversations that she told us, and that's not our place to tell what it was. But according to what we were hearing, it wasn't just verbal abuse,
Mm-hmm.
which we had seen on Facebook Lives. So this leads us up to the events of last night.
No.
Wait.
No?
You're skipping. You're skipping
Yeah,
a time.
yeah. You're skipping another.
You're skipping.
Not another. One
You
last
Oh,
one
and,
before
and
last night.
Brandon.
Okay, so we're in July. We're in this month. We're in what, 2 weeks ago?
I think it was like a week and a half ago, not even 2
Week
weeks
and a half ago.
ago.
Oh, this one's a rough one. We were she came to us and we got some audio and some pictures, and they were audio and pictures that when we heard it, there was nothing that we could live with ourselves if something happened to her and we did nothing. There was a lot of rushed decisions. This was the night that triggering live happened, because remember he said if you hear abuse, you report abuse.
Yeah, that was the same night.
We called the cops. We got the cops. We knew the cops were on the way. We were terrified because of the stuff that we had just recently heard in a private chat, that things were going to get out of hand before the cops got there, and we were scared. Mind you, remember, we are not there. We are only hearing from her through text and voice clips of what is happening. We can't see physically the stuff. So this is our reaction based off of the evidence that's being provided to us. And we called, and they said they were coming out. Well, all of a sudden, it's like an hour or so goes by. They're still not there yet.
Well, also remember, one of the biggest differences between the first time and this time is we shared all the screenshots, we shared all the voice clips with the police.
Yes, we gave them everything we had. We finally found a way, and somebody that would talk to us enough to give us an email address and send everything.
Yes.
In the time while the things were going on, all of a sudden, we had this doubt: are the cops not going to show up? We had 2 failed attempts previously of nothing really happening, and we're like, oh my God, what do we do? I will say I act a little sporadic. I made a post. If you're in our Facebook group, you might have seen some posts go up that were really cryptid, and then they went down really quick.
And I was a basket case because I came into this late. This was all very fast happening, and I came into it late, like, what's going on? And we've got her messaging us, freaking out. Yeah, it was
so
an intense night.
One of the posts that I made, it basically said, Russ, cops are on their way. Shay saw this. She was still in the situation. She got very scared and upset about all of this. And, I've talked to her since, and I told her I'm not going to apologize. I did what I felt was right. And in my head at the time, what I thought I needed to do was call so much attention to it that if something happened to this girl, or if she was on another live and there was a mark, we knew the exact time and what happened. And I thought putting that post up, Russ isn't going to touch her. He's going to know. He's going to know I can't do anything. I need to stop because they are on. It was a stressful night. The cops showed up. We really felt like something was going to happen. It was the first time, they were separated, they talked. Because of things that were said, which again, we're not going to go into. He was not arrested.
And then they were live, and you all got to see them being live and cuddling together and making jokes. So, take that for what it is. But I think you can imagine that's essentially how we found out. Well, she messaged and said, they left. And of course, we're just like, what? Why would they leave? And here's the thing that I want to make sure all of us think about for all of our friendships in our lives. If you have a friend who is in a situation or relationship where you feel they are unsafe, and maybe not even just feel, maybe they're telling you in specific detail the things that are not right.
I want to cut you off, Boston, because we do have your chart, and I think that I want to finish this story, and then it'd be cool if we bring that chart up and you talk about that, because that's very important.
Well, this isn't in the chart, but I was going to say it gets very, very frustrating, and it gets really tempted because it's an emotionally tolling as the friends to be there for that person over and over again. They don't always want to leave. Okay? Please keep that in mind. It doesn't mean there's something wrong. It's a very natural thing that happens. There's no victim shame. There is no... but it's not always as simple as call the cops and then everything's all taken care of. So just keep that in mind. All right.
So that was about a week and a half ago. At this point, boss, I just want to give you the floor to bring you to kind of get us into the events of last night.
And this morning.
And technically 2 nights ago. Because I really think it was 2 nights ago that this all started, and some of you guys saw it happen in one of her lives, where I think one of the last things you saw was her crying in the car, and then her phone died. Wait, was that last night?
That was last night. That was last night.
Oh my gosh. Okay, that was last night. All right. So yesterday, we kind of throughout the day, we're getting more and more information from Shay about an incident that had happened the night before. Excuse me. Oh my gosh, I almost threw up. Sorry guys, I'm not feeling well. I have like zero sleep. We were getting some information. It was concerning. Then she did that live crying because, you know, they had gotten in another fight. They had been technically broken up at this point for days, maybe 2 days, but she kept kind of telling us she's, you know, needed some time to leave. And all along, we have always made sure that she knows we've got plan A, B, C, D, E, like everything lined up. We have resources for her. We've got actual people and human bodies that can fly in and be superhuman. Like somebody did for us. With us. So anyways, we're having all these conversations. She has the live where she's crying and her phone dies and we start talking to her. And I believe it was pretty late, and I believe Brandon was already asleep, and you said something and then probably went to bed after that, Chris, right?
Yeah. I went
because it was pretty late.
Yeah.
And then I just stayed up talking with her because I was really worried, because I said, I assume your phone died, you know, please let us know when you're okay. And that's something that she has been good at, is always letting us know when she's okay or is not okay. And anyways, when I finally heard back from her, you know, we talked for, it feels probably like 3 hours that we talked back and forth, and I was getting more and more information about the events that happened the night prior, and just being a good friend and just kind of helping her, you know, let's start making plans. Have you started your packing yet? You know, because part of her really wanted out. Part of her still, you know, loves the guy and thinks that there's a, you know, that's all. It's a back and forth tug of war. At one point, so often what she would do is lock herself in a room, and then they would just stay separated, you know, and fall asleep or whatever. She sent me I'm not going to describe the details of it, but it was a disturbing audio clip. Saying, you know, he's outside the door, disturbing audio clip, and then nothing. And again, we had been talking back and forth, like not a break for about 3 hours that night.
It was something that was so disturbing to you, though, that it made you worry when you didn't hear a response
instantly.
that late.
Like literally after not hearing for 2 minutes, I was worried. 5 minutes go by. I am messaging her. I'm tagging her. I want to say it was like 8 minutes went by, and I tried calling. And then after that, I said, I am really concerned. And, you know, if you never forgive me, and if you are angry at me and never want to talk to me again, I understand. I'm so sorry, but I am calling the police. And the boys, I tried calling everybody. I was a little frantic. I want to say this was at like 3:34 in the morning. No, it was like around 3:30. I finally found the correct phone number. I kept calling the wrong places. I was pretty panicked, and I got a hold of the police and told them my concerns and that I wanted to call a welfare. They asked me a bunch of questions about the events of the past 2 nights, actually, and specific things we had messaged. And they said, this is just going to help when we get there. And then I hear from Shay, and Shay says, everything's all right. And I said, well, the cops are going to be there soon. And then they came, and I said, I think the last thing I messaged was, please call me and just let me know what they say, because I was really worried that
The same thing was going to happen.
that they were going to leave her. Yeah. But instead, I get a message. He's being arrested. He's going to jail. So of course I'm freaking out, and now she's freaking out because like a lot of victims just like her, again, this is a completely normal response. She is feeling guilty. She is blaming herself. You know,
And this
So
is
I'm-
about 4 a.m. about this time.
now it's about 4 a.m. Eastern. And I had to talk to the police again and give them some information. And then it was just, call me once they leave, and, once he is gone, and let me know that you're okay, and I'll stay up on the phone with you. And at that point,
That's
she
around the time
called.
I woke up, right? When she
Yeah,
called.
because she called me crying, and was obviously not okay. And and I think we were only on the phone for about 15 minutes before Chris popped on.
Okay. Yeah, I was about to say, we were on the phone for hours.
No, before you came on. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, gosh. Yeah, you can take it from there, because at that point, my brain started short-circuiting.
So at this point, we know
it was all about trying to find her plan. Yeah.
No,
okay.
no. It's important to note, right? Russ has been arrested. A conviction, right, has not happened. Am I saying that right?
Yes, you're saying that right.
He was
He's not convicted
charged,
yet.
not
Yeah.
convicted.
Yeah, he was charged.
And this is important. Can we say this part?
I was about to ask if we could say that part.
Yeah, I think we can say, right?
Yes, but I thought we.
Yes.
Okay. So this is important. He was charged by the state. Okay. So they had enough evidence that it was not her decision. She couldn't say if she wanted to or didn't want to. It was not her decision. They had enough evidence, without going into detail, from her, that the state charged him with domestic violence. Now there were some other charges, potential charges, but nothing. I don't think anything has gone further than that. The state has charged him with domestic violence.
Yeah, the state, not her.
Correct. Okay. And thank you, Carrie. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're not even at that part. How?
So, at this point, I'm on the call. Right. We know Russ has been arrested. We're assuming it's Friday. He's probably not going to see a judge till Monday. They're going to hold him over the weekend. We're thinking, okay, everything. We got time to plan. We got to get you out of there. We've had things in the works for a while. We've had different people in Tennessee. Can I say who really stepped up today and helped us?
Yes.
And our official,
So our new member of our team, who has done amazing things and was there today, was Carrie C., who we're going to get to the amazing woman she is and what she did. But we had people like Carrie C. ready to drop everything that they were doing and get Shay out and to safety. Throughout the conversation, you know that she has, like Boston talked about, she has the guilt. She feels, You shouldn't when you're in there, but you do because that's part of the abuse. And so sometimes talking to her, it went back and forth, you know. And we were telling her, we need to get you out of here. We need to figure out a plan. We got some time, start packing. And we tried to then lighten the mood because he was gone and she had time to pack, and it was just such a horrible night that okay, let's lighten the mood. So we stayed on the phone with her for 3-4 hours at this point,
we were all
right?
pretty slapped before I even hung up.
Yeah.
I think was
Yeah.
like three
Well,
to 4
because
hours.
I looked over when I first woke up. I woke up at what time did I wake up? I woke up at like 5:30 or something. I look over. I have 108 messages that are missed, and then Chris immediately. I see that there's already an ongoing call, and so I get on there and I'm like, "What is going on?"
Yeah. And so at this point, Boston hasn't slept in almost a full day. So we get Boston. We say, hey, me and Brandon are here now with day crews here. Get some sleep. Boston goes get some much needed rest. I mean, she had a very traumatic night. So she jumps down, and mind you, at this point it's about 9:30ish, right? You would hop down, and all of a sudden, because Shay was waiting for follow-up with the police, she gets a phone call. Russ is out. He made bail for $1,000.
Yeah.
So,
which was surprising
for many reasons.
Yeah.
Well,
So
one of them was because she was told. Well, okay, but she was at least told she'll get a phone call before they release him.
They were going to follow up with her too. So we thought 9:30 they're calling. She was like, "Oh, I got to hop off the call. They're calling me." We thought that was like the update, for the follow up stuff that they were going to get from her. We didn't think it was going to be he's out. So now all of a sudden it's crunch time. He's out.
Right.
We need to put the plan in action because at this point we don't know, is he just going to go back to the house? At this point we know that there is like a restraining order on him in a way. What is a PO?
No, it's
bond conditions.
Condition of bond.
So he cannot be by her till the court date, right?
Cannot have any contact with her at all.
And
so, or go on.
I was just going to say, there's a lot of people talking about that $1,000, right? If it's $1,000 bail, then it's usually $10,000 because bail is only 10%. So the bond is probably $10,000, not just $1,000.
That's a good point.
So we don't know, right? It's Russ. We don't know if he's going to go back. We're only speculating the worst. So we're like, shit, we got to do something. Who is up that was somebody waiting in the wings to help out? We know Carrie C answers the phone. Carrie C, like a trooper, we're talking 9:30 in the morning, gets hit out of nowhere with something, jumps in her car, and she drives because she is going to pick Shay up and get her the hell out of there. Throughout this time, we're still constant contact with Shay. We start to lose contact with Shay. I mean, she's been up for how long at this point? 24 hours?
Yeah, because she couldn't sleep. I think you guys were trying to help her stay awake because there was going to be some more follow-up stuff going on. And I don't know when the last time is that she had slept, but she needed sleep.
So now this is the area where we got to get a little vague with stuff, right?
Yes.
At this point, going forward, we have talked to Shay as of 20 minutes before we went live, right? We've been all through the day. She did get some rest. Like I said, is she good? No. She had a horrible situation and things go on. Is she safe? Yes. We are going to continue to stay up with her. She's getting the much needed rest that she needs. That's why we ask all of you, we know you care. We know you want to show some support. Give her some time. Give her some time. She is safe. She is away. At this current point, we don't know where Russ is, but she is being surveilled. So there's no chance if he attempts to get anywhere near where she is that it isn't going to be seen.
Correct.
So let's answer some questions, and then, boss, I think that chart we can bring up and talk about too. We can go through. Is she hurt? Physically okay? Do you guys want to answer that? Should we answer that? I would say this is how I'm going to answer. Now she is physically okay.
Yes, that's a good way to put it. Now she is physically okay.
Yeah.
That's a real good way to put it.
Let's see.
Yeah, and we've got some people going back and forth about how...
Should we talk about what...
Yeah, there's some people saying it couldn't have been a DV situation if he got out on bail, and
I think that we can address that
because
at one point we did follow up with the officers ourselves. We had somebody in the field go in and just kind of ask about things. What we were told was that it was a mistake he was let out early. Why that was a mistake, we don't know. They didn't admit to what happened. Was early like 3 hours early? Was early 12 hours early?
Well, we've got Megan's comment there.
Yeah, I know, and that's why.
So hold on, let me do some math.
It wasn't 12. Because it would have been 4:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah, that's like 6 hours early.
Yeah. So also early on, we wanted to do some fact checking before we went live, because some people were saying that they saw that he got brought back in. There was something going on. What it was from our notes and everything, we think the AM and PM got screwed up because it says 4:30 PM on there. It was 4:30 AM when the arrest happened. So we think that he has not gotten picked back up. We don't know that for fact. This is us using our hunch, and the time matches if you just turn it to the AM.
Right.
Just kind of answered that one.
We have no idea.
Oh yeah. I mean, the
know. Answer to that is we don't know. We have no idea.
We don't know. He's not with Shay, and that's what matters.
Right. That's all. Yeah. That's all that matters.
Yeah, that was the Vine link was what we were looking at, and the time of it is, we think it's not correct out.
Right. Just specifically because we've been in contact with different police officers throughout the day. Someone, again, who like in person at the police station. Myself, I spoke with a woman, police officer, several times today, and she made it very clear to me all the information that we needed to have and make sure that she has about that. He is not allowed to see her or make contact with her or any of that, because it is a condition, and vice versa. Like, she can't try to contact him. She wouldn't get in trouble for it, but it would then, if he responded, it would put him in violation.
A couple things that I want to hit here. We're not going to say where she is located for her own safety. Yes, she has her cats.
Yep. Yep.
All right.
And even Vine says, not guaranteed. We strive for accuracy. We cannot guarantee the accuracy of timeliness or completeness of the information of our service.
And
so
you got to remember too where we're at, right?
yeah, this
This
is very fluid.
The place that it's a small town. There's not a lot of law enforcement. So I'm sure some things with them getting the right things out there is as important as it should be, as important as it should be to give the up to date answers for the victims out there. It should be right, but our notes just don't line up for us to put that on there. If he's back in there, awesome. That's fucking great. I unfortunately do not think that is the case.
Right. And please, everybody, I know this is like a highly emotional and triggering subject, especially for those of us who have gone through similar situations in our lives. Please try to just be kind to each other in chat. Especially if you guys are experiences, just act with kindness. I'm trying to see if we have more questions.
Bobby, yes, we've been in touch. They have been an amazing support as well.
Let's see.
Do the cops seem like they're really working on it and taking it super seriously? Now, you two talk to the cops more than I do.
Yeah.
So how did you feel?
Well,
I like Brandon go first.
Oh. Well, oddly enough, I talked to the same police officer both times that I called, and it was a female. And I remember after she left on the second time that I called, she really, I got the impression that she wanted to do something, but she felt like her hands were tied. Because she expressed a lot of concern, a lot of worry, and she also said that she reiterated a couple times that if Shay wants to go, then they can provide her certain services if that's the case, right? And she wanted to make sure that that Shay knew that, right? And that information was passed along to Shay. So, but the first time that I called, it's like the concern was they needed it. I don't think they felt that the reason was enough for them to go out. That's one of the reasons why. That's one of the reasons why I made sure that we could share all these text messages and voice clips and stuff like that, so they could see exactly what we saw. So the context was there.
Yeah, and I think that it's also got police officers aren't perfect people. Nobody's a perfect person, and I'm sure that the frustration also can get to them. I'm not trying to make an excuse if anything was mishandled by law enforcement. I have no clue. I'm not saying that either way, but you can't, at that point, I don't think they had enough to do what they did early this morning, and kind of take the choice out of her hands. They just made the choice for her.
Right.
They had enough evidence to do so, and the state is the one that made the charges. So, in my opinion, I do think that they are taking it seriously. I can't talk about that. They've done right by her. The reason she is safe is because of them at this point. It's because of a lot of things, but she wouldn't be safe without them acting. So I will say that they are, in my opinion, they are taking it seriously. Now, if mistakes were made at the jail, or letting him out early, or there are things that I am not happy about. If it were up to me, domestic violence charge, yeah, I'd say there's a required 48-hour hold. Like, sorry, no bail. But I don't make the laws. So,
I found this right here first. Heather, is Shay okay? That's the important question here. Shay is okay now. Okay. I found this. This was up here. This was back a little. I put it up really quick. The Bubble Bakery says this isn't something that's new in Lawrenceburg. By letting someone out early and having to go back and get them, that is. So that's interesting. We just don't know for a fact, and so we don't want to claim it as fact. If he is, great. Hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're hoping that it's real, but we're kind of erring on the side of caution on that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
While law enforcement is also often frustrated by some aspects of the system, it appears they have collected the evidence to file the charge on behalf of the state.
Right. Yeah. Nope, that is a true statement. Yeah, that was the big thing. When I called them this morning, I had absolutely no reason from the past history and what the boys had gone through with their previous calls to think that this was going to end any differently than the other times that we called. So it was quite shocking to get the message. And then after that, first and foremost, she has become she has become a friend to us. So that's been emotionally tolling, to see her going through this, of course. But I think the most important thing was that we all wanted to make sure she knew, because all of a sudden you're solo, right? You're solo, and until she was not solo anymore, we needed to be talking to her. And like Chris had mentioned, we were, at one point we were all cracking up. I think everybody was kind of delirious. And we were all making jokes and anything we could do to just kind of make her not feel alone. You have to understand that she was incredibly isolated, and it may have not seemed that way because she has a big Facebook following and she goes live, and she's got lots of people always talking to her, and so many of you here in chat right now, just names that I recognize that I always see supporting her, right? But no, she was incredibly conditioned and isolated for the past few months. So
I want to go to comment is I asked this but didn't see if it was answered in chat. Does she need anything or can we help? Currently at this time, she has what she needs. Now, is that going to change? Very possible. Mm-hmm. And at that time, maybe we will make some sort of post for anybody who wants to help with that process and all that.
Yeah.
But as of this moment right now, everything is handled and taken care of with her.
Yeah, as of right now. And I just want to say a big thank you. I have been getting so many messages, not just today, but I think over the past week here, for people that have been kind of noticing the signs and the red flags, right? Yeah. So many messages from people I've never talked to before who had just noticed me or Brandon or Chris in one of our chats during a live, and so many kind people reaching out with genuine offers of help, and it does mean the world. And if I am not getting back to you, please don't think I'm ignoring you. My number one thing that's been all of our number one thing. And I do have to say, okay, I'm going to bring this up, because Chris made a post, obviously, in our Facebook group saying Russ was arrested. And then, of course, there was lots of questions after that. We are doing our best to give the information to you guys. The public information is, of course, out there. Anyone can look it up. But like our number one goal, I know it may seem that way because we are spokespeople, kind of against McKamey Manor, right? Bringing awareness about McKamey Manor, and obviously everyone knows how we feel about Russ. But this is so much more than that. She is so much more than however we feel, if that makes sense. She was our priority today, and that means like phone calls, literally on the phone with police, and we've got people like, what's going on? What's going on? So please, just your patience like meant the world. And thank you for being so respectful of her and her privacy. I'm not saying don't reach out and let her know she's loved. But at this point, please, I guess we're like asking you to trust that we have been very on top of all of the plans to try to get some serious help for her if she ever needed it. And this has been months of like really plotting it out and thinking about like if she is ever in a situation that she needs to get out of, where do we go, what do we offer her? So
we got
Yeah.
XYZ planned.
Well, I think it's
Exactly.
so. If you've ever watched like her lives with Russ, and he starts talking about, oh, these guys are flirting with her. Da, da, da. It's not flirting when we're trying to get her help and trying to get her out. When we're offering her plane tickets to go back to wherever she wants to go, or hotel rooms to go wherever she wants to go, that's what was triggering to Russ. That's kind of what, instead of telling the context of that he twisted that into flirting, in my opinion, right? So it's easy to dismiss us trying to get her help when, in calling it flirting, when we're offering to do anything possible to get her out immediately.
I want to answer this question here. I saw Zach writing this a couple of times. I tried to get you in chat, buddy, for the answer. So if you follow Shay, you learn that when she moved in with Russ, she couldn't keep her dog. It didn't get along with his dogs, and it went to the pound. We have tried everything. We have gone and called the pounds. We have asked for the pictures of the dogs. Unfortunately, I'm pretty sure at this point that dog was adopted. We cannot get any information on it because, from what I understand, it was dropped off anonymously.
Which is, you said unfortunately, but in this particular scenario, it may actually be the most fortunate thing right now for her baby, and she understands that too.
Just not for her feelings.
No, not for her feelings at all. It's horrible.
This Christian had a very good point. He's not deleting the accusations off his personal social media, so it makes me wonder. That is a very good thought, that he might not be out anymore.
Interesting. That is. Yeah, and chat, if we can please focus on, let's focus on all supporting someone who really needs to be supported right now and not in fight with each other.
Just pray she stays well.
Till August. Okay, where did you get this?
Additional bond is 5 days. It's not till August. Well, that's when the court hearing is.
Well,
is
the
August.
first court hearing.
Yeah. Let's see.
I think we've given quite a bit of details, and I don't think anyone said she's not I mean, Shay is safe. Shay is safe, and Shay will be okay. But obviously went through a traumatic experience.
Yeah.
I'm answering this question here. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, she you know, she is safe, but yeah, she went through something extremely traumatic over the last 2 months. So to say she's okay, you know, no, no, she is, but she is going to be.
Um, I don't know. I don't know. I think that we will likely continue to update the case courses or the case courses, the case. Brandon, use your words.
He wasn't listening to the conversation to know what words to use.
Yeah,
What are they
sorry.
called? I'm so tired. Um, so someone had this question, and I said I don't know. So hearing something we go to as the public, do you guys know? But I said I would assume that we're going to be updating everybody with the case, like what you've
Yeah,
been doing with the AG and the, what are those called? Case files or case
Yeah,
updates?
which by the way, not to the website's been updated. There's been several new filings lately, and the website's been updated with all the newest filings for over the last 3 days. So if you want to see all the new stuff that's out there, go check it out. Nothing super big,
Mm-hmm.
very standard stuff. But yeah, I'm going to say this wrong, so please give me a lot of latitude on this. Uh, I think he had his bond hearing today. I, I don't know what they call it to see. It might be as an arraignment. I don't know. A lot of times that stuff is aired on YouTube. I don't know if it's like that in Lawrence County, but I mean, hearings are public record regardless. So maybe it is, maybe it
um,
isn't.
I'll give a quick little update for anyone joining us. Of course, you can always go back and rewatch this live, but to make a long story short, Joshua, um, Russ was arrested early this morning. We had reason to believe, from our direct conversations with Shay, I had reason to be concerned. Called the police. They are the ones, the state is the ones who um, got enough evidence and from her statement to make a DV charge. Um, at this point, he's been released on bond.
mm-hmm.
Released on bond.
Mm-hmm.
And has a no contact order with her. And she is safe. And is in a place where she is being surveilled, meaning he can't get to her. He can't hurt her.
Hold on
And
once.
and keep in mind, I want everyone to hear us say this. This is also important. He has been charged by the state. He has not been convicted. Okay?
Yeah.
There hasn't been a trial. Innocent until proven guilty is the law of the land in this country. And so just need to make sure that's said, at least. For the Tennessee newspaper. Thank you. I think we.
Should we
Oh
talk
yeah,
about
yeah,
that?
yeah, 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 yeah. I got that, and we actually have it up in the group right now. So thank you. Yeah, the Tennessean has done an article on this already. All right, guys. It has been an extremely long day for all of us. I just want to personally thank Boston, Brandon, and Carrie C. You guys for being there today and helping her. Everybody in chat, your support towards her is absolutely amazing. Don't think for a second she doesn't see it, and she needs to see it. So these comments, I know she's going to go back and watch this later, and when she sees all the support from all of you here, it's going to warm her heart. it's great that she knows that she has so many people, because that's what she needs
Mhm.
right now. She needs
Mhm.
a lot of love and a lot of support to get through this.
Mhm.
And so thank you all for that. And as things update, we will make sure to update you in the Facebook group. If you're not in it, McKamey Manor Road Trip, come join us, come and see. We will continue to expose this fraud of a haunt, McKamey Manor, and be the voice
Yep.
for those victims. You know,
And hopefully and honestly, there's no telling which way this is gonna all go. But the fact that that man, at least his face is on a mugshot, I'm sure can be um, a little bit of peace for his past victims who've spoken out, and who haven't been able to see something like that before. I think
yeah.
that's huge.
So
Um, but I know you're saying your goodbyes, um, and I'm just wondering if we could maybe do like a minute where we put that
yes,
graphic
that's what I
up
was
and we're
actually going
just
to do.
silent.
Yep,
Okay,
I'm
and then
going to
just
mute
let
it.
people read it and
Yep, you
leave
guys
their
can read
comment.
it. Also, this graphic that you're about to see is in the description of the video. If you know anybody that is experiencing a domestic violence situation and they need help, there are ways to help them and numbers to call, websites to go to. It's in the description of this video, and it's scrolling at the bottom of the screen, and I'm going to put it up on the screen here for the last minute that we're live. And all of you have a good night, okay?